Chris with Vexstorm Studios. Today I wanted to take a moment to show what we have been testing and working on for the upcoming upgrades for the RTS module as it relates to building mechanics. We are constantly improving our craft and our software, and the next step is the inclusion of the building system that we've been developing for the RTS module. This will allow for an incredible amount of flexibility and options that we could think of that may not only cover RTS aspects like real-time strategy aspects, but even further still. Please, if you enjoy our content, click that like button and let's begin. What I really want to do real quickly is go over, some of the options that we started building into the system. You're going to see some options here that while we're in this alpha stage with the RTS building system that may not show up in the final product, but in the end, most of these options will be available. Now, I've added a few extra options that were more for testing than anything else. But one thing to take note is when we're using or thinking of an RTS-based system, we often think about moving an object around and having a specific color if it interacts with another object, so we know not to place that said object. That is not a valid area. Our system supports that, and not only that, we changed the mesh color to reflect whatever it is you so choose. Now in my code, I have it set to red, but you will have the ability to select yellow if you would prefer, green for placing. Green is what I also have it set for setting. And if you want to destroy something, say you want to go back to one of your buildings and destroy it, you can select that color as well. Additionally, you get to see the real-time time, as it were, in the actual game system. That is actually kind of critical. It would mostly be in the game manager that you would pretty much see that. See, this is a nice, beautiful inspector. Building manager is a little messy at the moment, only because I haven't built a custom manager for it. But in the alpha stage, I guess that would be expected, right? Each building manager, which also reflects a unique GUID, which is your player ID, which is unique to each player. So in the future, I do want to support multiplayer, and this is my first step to doing so. All right. One of the other options, and really the meat of this entire system, is what we call Building Creator. As we've done before, where you can make any kind of unit you ever desired, you can now make any building you desire. And what I mean by that is this. You can have a 2D sprite, which represents your building within a UI environment. You can give it a unique name. Now, the name is not really important to code. It's more important for, just you organizing the information how you see fit when you develop your game. Building type, the ugly one, because it is a ugly ass cylinder. Building class. We gave you the ability to select unique classes depending upon what the building is meant for. Example would be unit building. A unit building could very well build units, vehicles, cavalry, archery, those kind of things. A resource building, in my mind, would be like a farm or a fuel industry mechanic type thing, or some kind of production-based factory. Defense. A lot of times when you guys think about RTS and real-time strategy, one thing that comes to mind is tower defense. Well, defense is very much a part of this. So in this case, defense will give you the ability to have buildings that have the attack option, where you can shoot back at enemies. They'll have some kind of attack variable. It will give you the ability to have maybe rocket turrets and tower defense shooting mechanisms that build up against, wherever your home base is. Research. A lot of RTS games I played back in my day, they had these research and science buildings that were your ticket to upgrading your different buildings and variety of structures. This is what our solution is for that. This research category would allow you to dictate what it does and what it's meant for. Command. Normally command would be looked at as, your Capitol building or a castle or something like that. Prop. A prop is literally a prop. It serves no other purpose but decoration. So say you're doing a game outside of RTS. Say you're doing a building game inside of a room. You want to have desks and chairs and tables and what have you. A prop, although this is for a building, could very well be your solution. Also, obviously, you could put props around your area if you want to decorate a garden, for example. There's some garden decoration games. Guess what? RTS Module can do that too. Continuing. If you happen to choose a unit class, you would have the ability for a unit class building. You'll have the ability to have a unit class disposition. And what I mean by that is you can choose if it's a fighter, a gatherer, if it develops vehicles, or if it develops special units. Now, each of these categories actually have subcategories. Like, for example, a fighter can have a warrior, or it can have an archer or cavalry, and so on and so forth. But each of these main categories are based off of each unique building class. So at least giving you guys the flexibility to have, your fighter class versus your specialty class, which could be a different building type with maybe more armor. It just affords you guys a lot more flexibility. Resources. As a lot of you have come to know and love, we have a very robust resource system that allows you to create literally any resources that you would ever wanted. It could be coin-based, it could be oil, it could be mineral-based, like you're mining ore. It could be anything. It could be clouds. It wouldn't matter. But the fact of the matter is, I want to incorporate that into our building system in some tangible way. And the way I did so is you can say a building costs a certain amount of resource. You can also say it can hold a certain amount of resource. And you can also say it gives a certain amount of resource. Notice I've given you the ability not only to make it one type, but many types of resource creator types. And each of these specific dispositions. The choices are really unlimited. And that is really the whole concept and point of RTS Module, is to make it so you can make any RTS game of any kind and further without any restriction. So going on, as you can see, we have the typical variables that you would be looking for. Some things to take note is player level required. I gave you guys the ability to make a building where you can create. It can only be created if the player level has been reached a certain point. This is a new mechanism that I've been introducing. Unit players also have this ability now too, where you can restrict what units can be made or not made based off of what the player's current level is. And since we incorporated that for the units and the player level, we also wanted to ensure that we had a building level as well. So now you have a minimum building level to reflect what your building level is and what is the minimum building level that's required in order for you to be allowed to actually have this building. I sincerely hope that makes sense. I did kind of glaze over building class required, and I meant to go over that, so let me go back to that real quick and speak to that. So building class required is a conditional based system. Basically, if you wanted to, you could specify that a building cannot be made unless a prior building type is already created. Example would be if you had a home base, we'll call it command, a command home base. You could set that as a parameter before you could build a resource class building. Again, very unique and customizable system where you can just expand as much as you would like. And again, this is just one building. Imagine you can do different stats, different settings for hundreds of thousands of buildings. And all you got to do is randomly select if you want. You can set up a random system to select the kind of building, or you can just have it selected based off of UI, which I will help include inside that software as well. Going on, as I did with the resource-based system as well as unit-based system, they now all have health, armor, and in case of resources, they just have resources, and that's it. But in case of units and buildings, they have health and armor colors that you can modify and change to your heart's desire, whatever aesthetic that you're trying to match for your game. Additionally, because these buildings also support containing or holding resources, I also wanted to give you the ability to reflect that as well in a color gradient. One of the things I'm pretty proud of is I've also included the ability for unique prefabs for each stage of a building. Let me go and explain that real quick. Obviously, building completed means it's a completed building. It is done. It is the finished product of what you expect it to be. Partial would be like a building that is mid-construction or 50% damaged. Building plot. Building plot would reflect a building that is about 10% built or 10% health. Building ruin. This tree would reflect something that was there, a building of some kind, but has been destroyed. As a result, you can't build there again. Now, obviously, if you leave this empty, you can build there again because there will be nothing there. I have made it so that you can actually include ruined buildings because who wouldn't want to see some destruction in a game? And building ghost. Building ghost is that ghost-like image that you usually see when you're moving your mouse around as you're about to place the building in question. I made it so that it doesn't just take the completed building's, shape, mesh, and change the color, but made it so that you can choose to do so, make it the same exact building. And we do change the color, or you can make it into a ball where you just move the ball around and boom, you're spawning something. Because I want to support as many variable game situations and solutions that may come up, that is why I chose to make the ghost prefab to be whatever you would like. Now for a quick test, I'm going to go ahead and hit play. And it's just a very simple scene where I have about 5 enemy hypothetical buildings. Since I don't have a UI button set up to invoke the building mechanic, I'm going to go ahead and manually invoke it. And as you can see, we have a green cylinder moving around because there's nothing blocking it or stopping it from going anywhere. But as soon as I approach a building, it turns red. And if you look on the right, it says we hit something, and we did. We're very, very close. Red again. Red again. Let's go ahead and place this one. All right, so we placed the building. No challenges there. I wanted to change the color blue just for the sake of this video, just to show that it got placed. We're going to go ahead and do this mechanic again and show what happens when we come near a player building. All right, so I'm coming near the player building. As you can see, we can get close, but we obviously cannot build there. If I keep on clicking, nothing happens. But if I go over here, come on, there we go, and we're there. So that's pretty much about it for this video. I just want to show our progress, where we've come from with regards to the building mechanics and where we're going to, so you have a better understanding of what's coming. I hope this is of help. Please, again, if you enjoy our content, click that like button. If you want to stay up to date with new videos as we continue to start pumping them out, please subscribe. And finally, please share if you think our content may help another. Always remember, stay kind, happy, and safe. Thank you again. I'll see you in the next video.